Hey guys, it's Kyle GP here. I'm just making a video because I'd like to convince a few people to come over to Linux, and I know what you're probably thinking as soon as I said that. What the fuck? I can't game on Linux, I can't run half of my Windows crap on Linux. Linux is garbage. Linux is like, too advanced for me. I'm a simpleton. I like to just, click buttons and make things move on the screen and play my games and not have to think. Well, I'm happy to say that Linux has come an incredibly long way, so much so that I have switched to Linux full time and I'm not going back to Windows. And I have not been hindered because of that decision. All of my programs that I would normally use on Windows now have native apps on Linux. This is actually running, I'm running Linux Mint 20.2, but I'm using KDE Plasma as the desktop environment, which is highly customizable. I've got wobbly windows and cool effects and all sorts of stuff going on at the moment. But the thing about Linux, as you probably already knew, was that you can customize the appearance and a lot of things as well. But the more important thing, and the reason that I'm making this video, is to demonstrate the gaming capabilities on Linux these days, because I can pretty much play all of my Windows games without any problem and without having to fuck around and do a lot of the stuff that I would have had to do in the past. And a lot of you may be familiar with Wine. So if you've ever tried a Linux build before, you've probably run into an issue where you needed to run a certain Windows app or a certain bunch of Windows apps, and so you've had to emulate them in Wine, and it was either a good experience or it was a terrible one. And in the past, like couple of years back, when I tried using Wine to emulate a couple of Windows apps in Linux, it was terrible. At least in my case, stuff just didn't work properly. And I'm happy to say that Wine has just come an incredibly long way as well, and yeah, I have had no issues running any of my Windows apps if I need to, which, as I mentioned, I don't really need to because all of my stuff is natively supported. I got Discord here, which, I'm not going to open it up because it's got other people's names in there, but I got Discord, so that's natively supported. I got OBS, which is what I'm recording this with right now. Obviously that's free, open source, and natively supported in Linux. What else? Obviously you got your browsers, Authy. Let me just have a quick squiz of the stuff I've installed. So obviously you've got native Steam, so that's cool, and we'll get into that in a second. And what else? Yeah, FileZilla, that was always sort of available for Linux. Private internet access, they have a native client, which I'm not using right now, but there you go. What else? What else, indeed? qBittorrent, Telegram desktop, we use that as well. Zoom has a native desktop client for Linux, so there's your Zoom, should you need Zoom. The other crazy thing is, all my hardware just worked, I installed it and it just worked, and then I've just been building up the preferences of the way I want them. Installed KDE Plasma and customized that a bit, and I'm still, there's still so many preferences I can go and change and stuff, but at the moment I've got it working how I want it for now. But yeah, and then I just installed the native Linux drivers from AMD for my RX 590, so I get full graphics card acceleration, and sleep and all that is working perfectly. My webcam is working. I plugged in this blue Yeti mic, and it's working. I didn't have to do any fucking around with drivers or anything like that. So that's another thing, the hardware support is just incredible. And then if proprietary drivers are needed, you can actually get them with Driver Manager. So I think there's some proprietary Wi-Fi drivers that I can get here, although my Wi-Fi actually already works, and my Bluetooth was already picked up, so I'm not going to go ahead and install that right now. And I can't even remember where the Wi-Fi icon was because I removed it. I'm just plugged in with Ethernet. Anyway, I digress. So basically, the point is, it used to be very different. It used to be that you'd go to use Linux, but you'd struggle because you'd have to emulate a bunch of your Windows apps, or shit just wouldn't work. You know, like you would run into a problem where something happened and you had no way to figure it out. And you know, while Linux is still, it still pays to know the command line a little bit and understand the structure of Linux and all these kind of things, it's not 100% critical anymore. Like, it's gotten to a point where it's like really caught up with Windows. So I think you get the point. Oh, look, I'll show you a few more things. Easy EDA for anyone who designs PCBs and electronics and stuff. That works. That's native. That's cool. I've got Open Board View. That works. That's native. Thank you, Paul Daniels, for supporting Linux. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I will be donating at some point. Authy. I don't know if anyone uses that for two-factor. The only reason why I actually use Authy is because it has the ability to cloud sync, and I know people will say, oh, that's pretty dangerous, but honestly, it's just so annoying. Like, every time I have to, like, wipe my phone or something like that. Like, my phone got damaged, and it got taken in for service, and they erased it, and I had all my two-factor stuff in Google Authenticator, which doesn't cloud sync, so I had to set up all that shit again, and it's just like, well, that's why I use Authy. Bitwarden, you know, I don't know if anyone uses Bitwarden. That's a native client for Linux as well, so that's a password manager. Yeah, I can't really think of anything else, so I think we'll just get into the Steam side of things here. Hopefully that's, yeah, okay, it's not actually logged in. But you can see, there you go. Quickly show you Prusa Slicer. Prusa Slicer does take a bit of time to open for some reason. I'm not really sure why. I guess that just comes down to the developer. But other stuff opens really quickly, like if I open this STL, MeshLab opens straight up. So I think that's just a thing with Prusa Slicer. They need to improve the load times there. But yeah, and yeah, I've got this hot corner as well. If I want to switch between stuff. Oh yeah, and this was an issue that I was looking at, which I also want to mention, right, when we talk about the Steam stuff. So anyway, there's Prusa Slicer. Cool. I think I've made my point. So, one important thing is, so when you install Steam on Linux, you want to make sure that you're installing your games to an ext4 formatted volume, which is a Linux file system. What happened was, because I had Windows installed and I had my Steam library on an NTFS formatted volume, whenever I tried to link that to, you know, when I went in here and, you know, I chose my Steam library and I chose the NTFS drive with my Steam library and all my games populated and they were like, cool, they're all downloaded. But when I tried to play them, most of them didn't work. I'd get like a message that was just like, you know, hanging on, preparing to launch, or I'd click the play button and it would just do nothing, or I'd get errors and blah blah blah. Like Battlefield 4 like was a nightmare before I figured out it was just a really simple solution. Just install it to an ext4 formatted drive and it works. So I've got a few games here that I've installed and they're all working perfectly. I'm going to demonstrate them for you now. So by the way, when you install Steam, Proton comes with it. You just need to go into Preferences, Steam Play, and enable these two options. And you know, there's various Proton builds. The experimental is just the newest one. So for Age of Mythology, for example, I actually needed to choose an older version of Proton. But that was it. Like, so if it doesn't work, you pretty much just try another version of Proton and see how it goes from there. And now that works flawlessly, as you will see. So we'll launch Age of Mythology. And there you go. Age of Mythology. Running perfectly. As much as I'd like to have a game right now, I'm not going to. So yeah, anyway, point made there. So yeah, BF4 was, as I said, one of the problematic ones, only because I had it on an NTFS drive. And I can't remember where I saw, someone said, I think on Reddit, that this might be the issue, and it absolutely was. So I'm now just, you know, going to put that out there. That's what the issue was for me. So yeah, let's have a look at BF4. So what this does is, you know, you just install it all as normal, and Valve's done a fantastic job with Proton, and it just handles everything. So, you know, when I click play now, it's going to go ahead and open up Origin. I've already signed into Origin, so pretty much just launches the game after that. and there's no performance issues or anything. Yeah, it's crazy. Although I haven't played online yet, I did see all the, the servers populate and everything, so the networking and everything is all taken care of. You don't need to do anything in that regard. Of course, this game takes a little bit longer to load, as it does on Windows anyway. I recommend also disabling that Origin overlay. I haven't done that yet, but I will. Because honestly, who uses that shit anyway? I mean, maybe some people do. Sorry if I offended you, but I certainly don't. And it's just additional stuff that, could screw up the game. So we'll go to the test range for a second. Yeah, no, I mean, it's BF4.
Alpha's now ours.
Yes, I think you get the point. And again, if you're having issues with Proton, try a different version of Proton. In this case, I didn't really have any issues with BF4. My only issue was that NTFS drive formatting issue. And look, I'll show you one more, just for the sake of being thorough, but I think you get the idea. We'll go Duke Nukem. I think Duke Nukem I might have had to change the preferences for as well. Probably shouldn't do this while the game's launching, but yeah, I had to use Proton 6, I think. So because I did that, it didn't actually launch a full screen, so I'll just do that again. I might have actually changed it before. I did change it, so
let's rock.
So yeah, I mean, again, Duke 3D, no problem, no Windows needed. So yeah, that's pretty much the only reason why I wanted to make this video, is just to kind of show you guys that you don't need to be a sucker and use Windows anymore, particularly when pretty much everything you've seen here today was 100% free, except for obviously the games that I bought in Steam, but yeah, everything else 100% free. So yeah, and there's also, because I do music production as well, so there's also a few digital audio workstation options available as well. So if you're one of those people, don't freak out. And of course, DaVinci Resolve is an amazing video editing suite that is available natively for Linux. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to show you guys. VeraCrypt, also good, natively supported. Yeah, and the super big advantage with Linux as well is that, like, when you want to check for updates for all of your apps, you can just come into your terminal, and you probably want to type the command properly if you want it to work, and you can just check for updates. So this is basically a Windows update, only it's not Windows Update, so it's actually pleasant. In my case, everything's up to date, but that would check for anything that I've got installed pretty much with that apt package manager. And then if there were updates, I could just update all my programs in one go. Or I can make exclusions. I can update specific things if I want. If I want to install new things, I can. If I want to uninstall something, I can. Let me just go ahead and, for example, let's say, I want to remove a program. So, I don't know, let's remove Notepad QQ. Even though I love it, you just go ahead and type sudo apt remove notepad. And then do I want to continue? No, I don't, because I actually like that app. But you know, it's super easy just to install and remove and update things, because you just add your repositories. So you add these servers, these software sources, and these software sources keep all these packages up to date. So as soon as they update it on their server, you can check it in your trustworthy terminal and go ahead and pull down the updates for each app. It's not like you have to go to each developer's website and get a new update, or open up the app and check for updates. You just do it all in one go, so it's super easy. And if you don't like doing it in the command line, there's plenty of GUI options available, such as Software Manager. There's also Discover, which is part of KDE. You know, so you can go ahead. It's just like you got multiple app stores. You know, so go in here and get updates for them that way, or install them that way. You know, you've got a lot of graphical options these days, not just command line. But I'm telling you, once you actually apply yourself and learn a bunch of terminal commands, not only will you feel like elite hacker, but it'll significantly just save you time and frustration, because like Windows Update is a piece of shit and it fails all the time. So not having to deal with that and being able to just update all your stuff in one go from repositories is like, I don't know, for me it's incredible. It's really changed like my entire computing experience. And the boot up time and the overall performance of Linux is vastly greater, at least on my machine. Just because, you know, Windows has a lot of those background services running that you don't even care about, and all of that like Microsoft stuff installed that you didn't even ask them to install, that just comes with Windows. And so that shit just doesn't really occur on a lot of Linux builds. I mean, some of them come with some bundled software, but you know, you can start as basic as you want, or you can get an OS, like a Linux distribution that includes a bunch of stuff to get you going. It's really up to you. But I just wanted to make this video, and I've talked fast and I've talked a lot, but I do want to make more videos around switching to Linux, and you know, show you guys that, you know, if you want to come over to the dark side, we'll be here waiting for you. Thanks for watching, and until the next video, this is Kyle GP. Peace out.